Okay. Yes, I appear to be live across everything, it looks like, at least. Yes. All right. Give me just a moment while I get some things moved around here a little bit. Okay. Okay, I think that's probably going to be about as good as I'm going to get it for right now. Oops. Nope. That's not going to work. Excuse me for just a moment. There we go. Awesome. Nope. Okay. Okay. I think I've got everything set up now. So, obviously, if you couldn't already tell, I'm in a completely different space now. This is hopefully temporary. And I am. Yeah, this is hopefully temporary. I had to get out of my business partner's garage because in Fort Wayne it's nearing the beginning of winter at this point. Um, and there was just no feasible way for me to keep the garage warm enough for me to be able to do the editing that I really want to effectively. Um, on the positive end of this will mean that this should mean that I will have the ability now to pump out more content, have it be more polished, as you can tell, I have a black background now. I've wanted a black background for a little while, and I finally have it. Although it's not the way I would want it. Obviously, this right here and here is cropped, um, because this is my apartment. I mean, I don't really want to do it this way, but for right now, I kind of don't have any other choice. Hopefully, by like the beginning of next year, I'll have a more permanent uh, placement for my business. But for right now, I'm not operating out of here necessarily. My business is still registered at my with my business partner. Obviously, not here at my place, but at any rate. The important part is that my quality should increase a lot. I'm using my own key light now as opposed to, and I have full control of my key light now. Let's see here real fast. Well, I had full control of my key light. There we go. Like, I can shift the colors around like that, and it looks all funky like that and everything. I like that. So, but at any rate, intro. My name is Blake, and the show is Live with Ebs. The business name is Ride with Ebs. This is a show that I'm doing about news surrounding electric bikes, scooters, and skateboards. Thus the name Ebs. The business name in DBA is Ride with Ebs, or Ebs if you don't have much time, EBSS. And I decided that I wanted to start a drop shipping e-commerce business around electric bikes, scooters, and skateboards, as well as the gear. Excuse me. As well as the gear that goes into the lifestyle. And oh wow, jeez. Okay. I guess that's just gonna do that. Whatever. I'm very crunched on space right now, if you couldn't tell. But the important part is that this beanie right here is available for print to order. I believe it should, if you order it right now, which you can actually go here to my website, ridewithebss.com, ridewithebs.com, and order this beanie, as well as the electric air pump, which is available for pre-order, and the hydration backpack, which is also available for pre-order right now. Let me double check the pricing. So, let me see if I can get the. Yep, there we go. So that's the pricing right there for you, and it is priced accordingly. I'm basically I am pricing them according to what the manufacturer says, plus a slight markup, of course, and it's enough of a markup as to where we can get inventory going and still make a little bit of profit on the top immediately, as opposed to waiting for the year and doing taxes and everything like that. But it's not like a 400 or 500% markup or anything like that. It's I think I really found a good middle ground as far as being able to expand and grow and thrive, while also making sure that I'm not trying to sell $100 beanie. Can you find 12 or 15 or even $10 beanies on Amazon? Yeah, you can. You are purchasing it from a nameless, faceless factory, and they can just up and go like that. Whereas, these are print to order. I'm working with, print to order company, and I've been testing it out myself every day. Normal wear and tear, of course. This has now gone through the wash. I want to say like at least twice, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember exactly. I don't keep track of things like that to a T, but the electric air pump, obviously, I've used it a few times. Um, Ironically enough, mostly as a battery. And then of course the hydration backpack, I use it every day. I need to get a new hydration pack because, in all honesty, I didn't break into uh, keeping track of and cleaning the hydration pack itself, but I have absolutely been using the backpack portion of it, and it has been working beautifully for me. I haven't scratched it or ripped it or anything like that. It's comfortable enough that I can go for a decent length of a walk with it for about like an hour or two, and it doesn't cause me as much strain as other backpacks have because of the fact that it has the straps that go and click around like the torso area and everything like that, and it absolutely carries everything. Mostly everything that I would carry with me on a regular basis, which you can see right here in this GIF, is quite a bit of stuff. I've got my laptop in there, of course, all my add-ons and accessories and different things like that. So I got my unlocked phone in there. I've got the an extra battery pack, laptop, like I said. Different things like that. Even like obviously, I carry the hydration backpack and the electric air pump with me too. So yeah, and then of course, this is just more footage of me putting it in. I mean, what else? What more else can I say about it? Anyway, so that's everything that I got on my website. Like I said, the hydration backpack and the electric air pump are available for pre-order right now. I've got to get a certain amount of orders in before they'll go out to customers with my brand logo on it. Just for authentication purposes and whatnot. But the beanie is absolutely print order, and that just and full disclosure, any ads that you see on this video, I am not getting paid for them. I am not getting any sort of affiliate deals or anything like that. I don't have any kind of investors. This is a startup business for me. And I don't have any investors or anything like that. I make money off the fact that you buy my products off of my website. So with that in mind, and also keep in mind, the profits for all this gear that I've got listed on my website go directly towards the business, of course, for me and my business partner to get the materials that we need to actually be able to Frankenstein and build electric bikes, scooters, and skateboards that are federally street legal without needing license, registration, or insurance. That is what we are going for here, is to help reduce driving dependency by selling electric bikes, scooters, and skateboards that are federally street legal. So, at any rate, I'm going to go ahead and just jump right in to this one here. Let's see, how far can I zoom into this? I don't want to go that far. Okay. Well, that's even providing more light for me. All right. So, came across 6 different articles on my newsfeed, and depending on the time frame, of course, I'll go ahead and go through some of the things I've bookmarked on X, formerly Twitter. So, at any rate, 10-foot wide bike lane is underway on Manhattan's 10th Avenue. Okay. Major improvements are being made on 10th Avenue's bike lane, including new pedestrian islands, uh, redesigned intersections, and more. Awesome. They're basically being Manhattan, being New York, being New York State, Manhattan, whatever you want to call it, city, I guess, or borough, or whatever. Being New York, there's pretty much always something being under construction, being worked on, or whatever like that. I've seen enough Casey Neistat vlogs to know that for absolute fact. The man vlogged his life every day for years, and I don't think there was ever a single vlog of as long as Casey Neistat was out and about, and he was vlogging out and about, there was some sort of construction somewhere going on, and oftentimes including right outside of his studio. So, you know, while obviously we all are annoyed by construction, but at the same time, if it didn't happen, shit would just fall apart faster. I mean, that's the unfortunate truth to it. So, the first phase of Manhattan's 10th Avenue bike lane upgrade. The first phase. Bleh, the first phase of Manhattan's 10th anniversary bike lane upgrade is now underway. The project is working to bring a 10-foot bike lane between 38th Street and West 52nd Street to improve the safety of cyclists and e-bike riders. Awesome. Absolutely. In addition, in addition to the wider bike lane, the administration is working to install new concrete pedestrian islands, redesigned intersections, and up-to-date bicycle corrals. Sounds like everything's on the up and up to me. Awesome. That is great. Great news. Tax dollars well spent, I would say. As biking grows in popularity, our infrastructure must grow alongside it. A 10-foot lane on 10th Avenue. A 10-foot lane on 10-foot lane on 10th Avenue will enable e-bikes and traditional bikes to coexist, hopefully, creating room for faster vehicles to pass and promoting safe behavior on the road while supporting our growing cargo bike delivery industry. Awesome. That came from Deputy Mayor from Operations, Mira Josie. Joshi? Not sure about that. The bike lane improvements are all part of Mayor Eric Adams' Charge Safe, Ride Safe New York City's Electric Mobility Action Plan. In fact, the administration is on target to finish the record number of new projected bike lane miles in 2023. Awesome. Okay. The upgrades we have completed will make 10th anniversary. The upgrades we have completed will make 10th Avenue safer for everyone, and the extra wide neighborhood and the extra wide bike lane will make it easier for cyclists to feel comfortable riding through the neighborhood. Okay, awesome. Yeah, and so This is an example of taxpayer dollars being spent in the right way, in a good way, towards a good purpose. This is for, you know, everyone, not just drivers. It's for, children that want to play out in the street. It's for, you know, mothers that want to take their elderly that want to, mothers that want to take their elderly mother or father out for a walk, and maybe they have to push the wheelchair or something like that. This is going to absolutely be, good for everyone, as long as as long as the people that are making this don't have their head up their ass with what we have seen with, I believe it was San Francisco, if I'm not mistaken, where they just were like, here's a bike lane, have fun, and they plopped it right down the center of a 2-lane street. That was absolute garbage. That was hot garbage, and I want to say I cannot believe that they did that. Unfortunately, I'd be lying. I can believe they did that, because again, you're talking about politics that just want to look good for the people. Now, I say that realizing that this is also a politician, a mayor of New York City, New York City, and I say that knowing that, not all politicians are bad, obviously, but I have a very I just have a very negative mindset towards politicians. They are whenever you start talking politics in general, I have no problem with an individual person. I just have a problem with the nature of politics and anything political in general. Just like I don't have a problem with an individual police officer, but I do have a problem with basically murderers with badges, or even just straight up ignorant officers that will just look the other way because it's more convenient and easier for them to do that. So this is politicking. I'm not even sure if that's a word. This is absolutely, New York City mayor doing the right thing by the people. And we should absolutely, we need to hold on to this, celebrate it for the W that it is, and credit where credit's due. This is absolutely fantastic that this is happening, 100%. Data shows that creating safer protected bike lanes by shortening crossing distances at intersections for pedestrians, calming vehicle traffic, and improving visibility has proven to reduce deaths and consequential injuries of all road users by 18.1%. I don't even want to know. I don't even think I really want to know where they're getting that number from, because that seems like a very odd number. And it also seems very low. It seems like an odd number, and it seems like a low number. So, not sure about that. But, hey, sure, we'll go with that. Traffic violence is on the rise nationwide, but we have the power to reverse this trend in New York City by building infrastructure that prioritizes safety and accessibility for all road users. Okay. I enthusiastically welcome the new 10th Avenue bike and pedestrian friendly improvements in my district. Awesome. And that was New York State Senator Brad. Got it. Siegel. Brad Siegel. Sure. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Wait, is there more? Nope. Yeah, nope. Doesn't look like there was any more. Okay, yeah, absolutely. Um, I will definitely keep an eye on this as I have been doing, and it absolutely looks like New York City is definitely on the path. No pun intended. But definitely on the path to creating better infrastructure for the people rather than infrastructure that's just designed for drivers. So, I tip my hat to that, absolutely. I hope that they keep going with it and it spreads through not just throughout New York City, but also New York State. And, I'm even going to push it to be I'm even going to push it super optimistically and say let's go ahead and spread this clear across, coast to coast, from Canada to Mexico and New York to LA. Let's go ahead and just cover the whole board. Because that should be ultimately what the goal is making sure that everyone can get where they need as safe as possible in any method that they choose to use. So that's ultimately what this boils down to. So, all right, next article. That was a very good start to this show. Let's keep it going with this one. See if this one is an equally as. Ooh, how big can I? No, I don't want to go that far. Okay. Let's see if this one is equally as good. It allows us to go faster. Manhattan's okay, yeah, same thing here. So, if this looks absolutely, yes, I would ride this. And they look plastic. I'm guessing that they're not plastic, but I'm not 100% sure. So they look like they're super reflective, which is okay. But I cannot tell what those are made of. But yeah, so far so good right here. This width is a very nice width, depending on what these are made out of. It looks like plastic. I hope I'm wrong, but they look plastic to me. It would deter drivers who are paying attention, and too many drivers are not paying attention. So, the city has completed safety upgrades on 14 on a The city has completed safety grades to a 14-block stretch of 10th Avenue in Manhattan. Okay, including a 10-foot wide bike lane, officials said Wednesday. Okay. The new features installed between West 38th Street and West 52nd Street in Hell's Kitchen aim to address the growing number of cyclists, e-bikes, e-bike riders, and other mobility users. The transportation department said. Okay. The city built new concrete pedestrian islands, new bike rack. Yeah, this is reiterating what the previous article was also saying. Who make deliveries in the area. Yeah, I remember covering that. A couple of stories actually like that were more targeted towards the delivery cyclists. and it looks like that they're actually doing it. These are their office spaces, the places they spend there's places to spend hours each day and night through every season, and even more so in bad weather when so many of us want the world brought to us instead of having to venture out. Yeah, that is absolutely true. And it's also kind of sad to me to know that, our homes don't get much use, right? Our homes don't get much use, and we just don't get really enough time for ourselves in a lot of ways, because of the fact that, the, the 40-hour work week is still one of the most popular ways to earn a living, earn an income, and everything like that. Even though, and I'm approaching this from, you know, the standpoint that I am in right now, that, I am an employee aspiring to be a full-time business owner, full-time brand owner, full-time just overall entrepreneur, so that I can work when I want to, and be a full-time parent simultaneously. Uh, so I'm gonna say this from that point of view, being that you know the 40-hour work week was popularized, um, as far as I remember, back at a time of relative peace, especially compared to today. But it was only ever meant to be an experiment. It was never really made to catch on. And yet it has. And being a capitalist nation, uh, it doesn't make any sense. Because here's the thing: being a capitalist nation, there's a reason why. I'm veering off track here a little bit, but I mean, I'm still on topic of spending so much. These office spaces we spend so much of our time in. I'm still on the topic of cycling to work, as it were. But yeah, this is absolutely right. We're spending way too much time at work. And part of that has to do with the fact that a big part of it has to do with the fact that for a lot of people, their work is their only source of income. If they get fired the next day, then they've got to go look for another job. Even though America's capitalist nation and the economy for America was built on the idea that you would invest in and own natural resources, utilities, housing, or create jobs for the economy. Um, it was never made to have just, a select few having those investments, having invested in real estate and everything like that, having invested in oil or energy of any kind, investing in different companies. It was never made for those few to have that ability, and for the working class to be the majority of America. That if the working class is the majority of a nation, congratulations, you're well on your way to becoming more like China, in a sense where, in the sense that you are your livelihood is dependent on uh, fast cash, right? Fast money. It may not be fast cash in the sense of gig economy, but it's still in the sense of You're relying on that paycheck every week or twice a week or, annual salary, whatever like that, instead of dividends, instead of, passive income from real estate, from having multiple properties, and they pay you rent, which your rent should be higher than what your mortgage is by a certain amount. So that way you're profiting off of that and can continue to invest in more real estate and therefore living tax free. There are way too many people that are living paycheck to paycheck because they got so addicted to fast cash that they don't know anything else. And that's really sad to me. But at the same time, you can lead a horse to water, but you cannot make it drink. So the information's out there. I learned this information through audiobooks and podcasts and listening to certain people, and I'm not saying that I agree with 100% of everything that they say, and there are some things that I don't agree with. I don't agree with the fact that I don't agree with how, I don't necessarily agree with the idea that you can't just, get a loan from the bank for, a reasonable amount of money and have the leverage in your favor to negotiate your interest whenever it's your first house that you're buying to rent out or flip or whatever the case is like that. I think that there needs to be a certain amount of trust given by the banks. And then as long as you keep that trust going, as long as, you're doing a good job, then your interest stays low. And lately it's been backwards. They actually, for your first one, interest is going to be through the roof. So that kind of de-incentivizes people to, get into it in the first place. Whenever interest is going to be super high, they're going to be sitting there going like, okay, I'm borrowing this money, but it's at such a high interest rate right now. Some of it has to do with their credit score maybe being trash or something like that from, whatever the reason is. And I get that. But on the other hand, that's not always the case. So the bike lane is 10 feet wide for the majority of the street, except for a few stretches where it is 8 feet wide, in part to accommodate dedicated touring lanes with dedicated turning lanes. Okay. Where it is 8 feet wide, in part to accommodate dedicated turning lanes, the DOT said. Okay. Though it's twice as wide as a typical bike lane, it was still dwarfed by the space dedicated to car traffic on the avenue. Yeah, whenever you've had so much, whenever an area has gotten used to, whenever people have gotten so used to having an area so dedicated for cars, so dedicated for vehicles, that you all of a sudden want to make this change, expect that people are gonna cry and whine and complain about it, but that's the way it goes. They'll complain about it until they get used to it. Unfortunately, that's just the way it goes. On Wednesday, city e-bikers, deliveristas, I love that, and scooters were seen zipping up the northbound e-bike lane on 10th Avenue, protected from vehicle traffic by cars. Awesome. Yahel Perez has been working as a delivery driver for Uber for 3 years. He was picking up an order from a restaurant when he said the wider bike lane was a welcome change. Last time there were a lot of potholes. Now most of this is perfectly fine, so it's way better now. Awesome. Awesome. Absolutely. Uh, but with more space, Perez said, comes more people. They're not always on wheels. Sometimes there's more people walking on it, Perez said. Sometimes there's issues. Sometimes there's issues with that too, that the wider lane brings. Sometimes there's issues with that too, that the wider lane brings. But other than that, the lane has been really great and is being wider. But other than that, the lane has been really great and is and it and being wider is better. Awesome. See, New York's got their shit together, it sounds like. It sounds like New York's got its shit together. I didn't realize until now I'm completely looking the wrong way on the screen. Do I change it right now? I'm not worried about it. To hell with it. Delivery driver Brian Yacht. Brian Yacht said he appreciated whenever a street has a bike lane, especially when there's especially when they're as wide as the one on 10th Avenue, because driving on the road with cars can be dangerous. Yeah. It benefits us because it allows us to go faster. It says we don't take too long on orders when they're wide like this. There you go. Mayor Eric Adams has been criticized for coming up short on his campaign pledge to be the bike mayor, previously saying he planned to install 300 miles of protected bike lanes and 150 of bus lanes in 4 years. The NYC Streets Plan, a document the New York Streets Plan, a document the city council passed in the waning days of the Bill de Blasio administration to ensure the DOT meets annual targets, calls for 50 miles to be built each year. Okay. According to street safety advocacy group Transportation Alternatives, that is a mouthful, which tracks the city's progress, the city installed 20 miles last year and 29.6 miles so far this year. Oops. Doesn't sound like they're quite on track with the... Yeah. Last week, the officials announced the completion of a similarly wide bike lane on 3rd Avenue. On 10th Avenue, the DOT said it hopes to expand the redesign all the way down to 14th Street by next year. Yes, I mean, 100,000%. Absolutely. It looks like New York's getting their shit together finally. It just took for it just took getting Mayor Eric Adams in, and as well, I'm pretty sure. Okay, on the surface, this seems like it's Mayor Eric Adams that's doing this, and I don't doubt that he has a hand in this. I mean, he's the mayor, so of course he's going to have a certain amount of power to this. However, I wonder if he's actually being influenced by the people of New York, which is the way it should be. I've said this before on the show. I have said this before on the show, and I will say it again real fast. The U.S. dollar still holds more voting power than what any checkmark on any ballot for any political campaign ever will. It still does. Even with as useless, not useless, worthless. Even with as worthless as what the U.S. dollar is today for purchasing power, it still holds voting power. Mayor Eric Adams has most likely, I'm just speculating this, has most likely seen that there are enough people that are buying electric bikes, and it doesn't say it in here, of course, but probably also electric scooters and skateboards too. I'm just going to throw them in there for good measure. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But he's seeing he's seeing New Yorkers buying and using these other forms of transportation enough that he's probably sitting there going, okay, let's go ahead and build and redesign as much infrastructure as we possibly can and make sure it's quality standard. Make sure it's, cross all the T's, dot all the I's and everything. If that is the case, then, like I've said, he is absolutely being the mayor in the best way possible, in the way that it should be done. Hey, Sean, new background, looks good, man. Okay. I said this on the live stream at the beginning. This is temporary. I am currently out of my business partner's garage because it's getting too cold. And so I'm in my apartment. I hope to have this fixed by early next year. And that's all the more I'm going to say on that note. It's not going to be here permanently. This is temporary. And I have it cropped digitally here and here, because otherwise you would see my apartment. You would see into the kitchen, and you would see kind of in the living room and everything like that. So, yeah. I took one look at it whenever I had it set up, and I'm like, yeah, I'm in a love-hate relationship with the setup. Don't get me wrong. I'm proud of my desktop setup. I'm proud of all the tech and everything like that I've got, and the fact that I've figured all this out and everything like that. I've squeezed like a couple of 4K monitors into a 4-foot by 3-foot table. I am very crunched. So, but at any rate, yeah, no. What I was saying earlier, though, studio life separate from personal. Yeah, I wish. Not that I wish. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. So. So yeah, no, this right here, New York City looks like it's got its shit going to get going just right for it. Nice wide bike lane. Manhattan's, uh, uh, the mayor seems like he's actually on his shit, and in a good way, in a good way, and I'm, I would venture to bet, I would venture to guess that it has to do with the fact that he actually did what a mayor or someone of political power is supposed to do and said, you know what? People are buying these alternative modes of transportation, which realistically shouldn't be considered alternative modes of transportation, but I digress. He's probably sitting there going, okay, people are buying these electric bikes, they're buying the electric scooters, they're buying the electric skateboards. Let's go ahead and redesign the infrastructure in New York City, in Manhattan, for those. So that's my speculation. Like I said, take for that what you will. Oh, I need to switch over to that. Yeah. Yeah, so nice wide open bike lane right there. Again, this article didn't say whether or not, oops. This article did not say whether or not these bollards are plastic or if they're like plastic coated cement. I'm not sure. They look like they're plastic. They look like they're reflective. So like I said, any driver that's paying attention is going to see them and hopefully avoid them. That being said, drivers don't always pay attention. Bike lane like that. FTW. Yep. Yeah. Fort Wayne needs this. Definitely. Well, realistically, I would argue all cities in America should have this. There's no reason why they shouldn't. So, at any rate, e-bike recall. E-bike from well-established manufacturer should no longer be ridden under any circumstance. That sounds serious as shit. Like that sounds bad. That's bad. Okay. E-bike riders beware. Cube is recalling a certain e-bike that could cause serious problems for the rider. The problem does not concern the hardware, but rather the software of the e-bike. That all of a sudden sounds way less bad than I thought it was going to be. Cube is recalling an e-bike, namely the... Wow. That's... Wait. 63070 Cube Reaction Hybrid Rookie SLX 400 Teamline 2023 27.5. I'm guessing that's, I don't know. Whoever came up with the name is an absolute ass clown. Oh my god. Why? Why would you have a name for an e-bike like that? Dear God, are you kidding me right now? Okay. The issue in question does not concern the manufacturing quality, so it is not necessarily an immediate health risk. Okay. But rather the software. Cube states that some of the models specified have a wheel circumference configured in such a way that deviates from the specification. That sounds like a first world problem to me. I mean, Oh. Thus violating the maximum speed. What is it, like 2 miles an hour over the maximum speed limit permitted with electric assist? I seriously doubt that the wheel circumference configuration is going to let you do 60 miles an hour. I really doubt that. As hilarious and entertaining and everything as that would be for a YouTube video, I really doubt that would do that. I seriously doubt it. It's like to me, in my head at least, whenever I'm thinking about it, that sounds like to me what it's like the equivalent of worrying about your miles to the gallon, your range in a internal combustion engine car, whenever you put bigger, thicker tires on your vehicle. A pickup truck, for example. My youngest brother has extra huge tires on his truck that actually were not made to go on his truck. He jerry-rigged them in a way to make them work, and in doing so, he lost a not an innotable amount of range of miles to gallon. He said it's negligible. Okay, whatever. What would be manageable with a cyclometer has a different dimension with an e-bike, namely a legal one. In Germany, for example, different country, so you're going to be facing with a different set of rules, different set of laws. Bicycles with an electric motor, hub, can be used without a license and without a driving license only if they provide acceleration at a speed up to 25 kilometers an hour. If the support system registers a speed that is too low, the acceleration can even exceed the permissible 25 kilometers an hour. Okay, so what does it do in 26? Cube states exactly this in its recall. The affected bike should no longer be used on public roads until the issue has been resolved. Cube also points out the possible consequences. Depending on the age of the rider, riding an e-bike may result in the loss of a driver's license or a ban on its approval/purchase. And in the event of an accident, there could also be significant legal problems. The wheel circumference can be corrected by a cube dealer, so the e-bike does not need to be sent in. Okay. No, e-bikes are limited to class 2, 20 miles an hour max, but nice try acting like you know what you're talking about. I mean, yeah, so basically these people are saying what I'm saying too. For us in the US, that's perfect because most people yeah. So it seems like that this article reached a lot of Americans somehow by potentially sheer accident, and it's one of those things that it's such a insignificant amount, right? It's so insignificant it shouldn't be an issue. So, it's the equivalent of saying that, oh well, Tesla cars are horrible because Tesla is the number one recalled car in America by far. Technically true. However, as far as I know, every single one of those recalls were just over-the-air software updates, and they were done. So, piss off. Okay, how long have I been live for? Just over an hour. All right, hopefully, you know what? I'm gonna make this at least 2 hours. I'm gonna make this at least 2 hours. No thanks. Where public transit is recovering and where it's not. Okay, let's see what we got here. Public transit ride-ship recovery. Okay, estimated total transit trips via all modes in August or September 2023 compared to 2019 levels. Okay. Post-pandemic versus pre-pandemic. Got it. Okay. Let's see what we got here. So it looks like Greenville, South Carolina. Okay. Indianapolis. September 2023 transit rideship was 52% of 2019 levels. Okay. I mean, there's a lot. It looks like to me there is a lot of 50 and above dots going on here. Yeah, and well, I don't know. Public transit rideship remains stubbornly below pre-pandemic levels in most major U.S. metro areas, per American Public Transportation Association (APTA) data. Why it matters. Public transit, whether in the form of a subway system, whether in the form of subway systems, buses, light rail, or even cable cars, is key to cities' broader health and vibrancy. I can agree with that. It makes for cleaner, greener cities, opens up possibilities for those who can't afford a car, and frees up parking lots to be turned into housing, green space, and more. Yes, all of that. By the numbers, of around 100 U.S. metro areas with more than 500,000 people, September 2023 public transit rideship was at or above 100% of September 2019 levels in just 9. Okay. Not going to try that one. New York, 150.3. Worcester, Massachusetts, 141%. And Youngstown, Ohio, 130%. Had the highest rideship rates this past September compared to 4 years earlier. So if I'm understanding this correctly, it's been growing. If I'm understanding this correctly, it's been growing. Well, some have. North Carolina, 36%. Okay. Zoom out. Nationally, rideship recovered throughout 2022 and 2023 to stand at 77% of pre-pandemic levels in November 2023, per APTA's latest big picture data. Okay. And it's 77%. Okay. Some of the country's biggest public transit systems have been showing signs of life recently. Good. Likely in part of a reflection of employers dragging workers back into the office. Yeah, I could see that. I could definitely see that. Turns out that not everyone and their mother can work from home. Uh, I wish I could. Unfortunately, I cannot. My day job has me working directly with customers, interacting with them, and fixing their uh, problems with some of their tech. So that is unfortunately not usually something I can do over the internet, over a phone call, and different things like that. I'm not about ready to try to diagnose. I've tried to diagnose a computer over a phone call with no visual aid to go off of. It sucked. Uh, so now Best Buy has a thing going on where they can remote into your desktop, and I love that. Uh, you know, I'm very picky and choosy about who I let remote into my desktop for obvious reasons. But at the end of the day, uh, that is something that can be done. But whenever I have customers come to me with straight up broken electronics and they know nothing about what they have, they are completely technologically illiterate. And I don't mean that as a bash. They have said that themselves. They admit that themselves right out the gate, right after telling me their name. So that's just something that is unfortunately par for the course for my day job. Between the lines, some of the reflection. So yeah, I was never able to do the work from home thing, but at the same time, I was fortunate enough that whenever the pandemic hit, my hours actually went up. And keep in mind, I work. I have a part-time day job that I treat like a full-time job. I don't get any benefits or anything like that. I don't get any vacation days or anything like that. My insurance is garbage, and just I work as many hours as I possibly can, and that I'm allowed to. I'm only allowed up to like 38 or something like that. It's enough that I'm able to sustain the lifestyle that I do, and split certain things like rent, electricity, Wi-Fi, and different things like that uh, in half with my girlfriend, uh, and also be able to afford to, you know, pay my credit card debt down and everything like that, as long as I, don't eat out every day. Some of the countries, yeah. New York City subway rideship, for example, is is up about 16% so far this year through September. Rideship on the Long Island Railroad, the country's busiest commuter rail system, is up about 11%. Okay. Those numbers may climb further if Manhattan congestion pricing for drivers becomes a reality, as it as appears likely. Chicago's L has been almost Chicago's L. Chicago's L has seen almost 14% increase. Has seen almost a 14% increase, while the Windy City's uh, bus rideship is up over 15%. Okay. Shifting out west, rideship on San Francisco's Mooney, Mooney Metro Light Rail Network is up an impressive 43%. What's happening? Cities have been experimenting with a variety of tactics to boost transit ridership after rates plummeted during the COVID-19 pandemic. Okay. Yeah. Some reduced. Okay, I'm still good. Some reduced fares or made rides and some reduced fares or made or bleh. Some reduced fares or made rides entirely free, though funding such efforts can prove difficult. Yeah. Some are investing in new routes and other infrastructure. Yep. Some are also rethinking routes based on people's new post pandemic travel patterns, with remote and hybrid work affecting how, where, and when you move about. Okay, that makes sense too. Yeah. The bottom line: in many cities, it may take years for public transit rideship to reach pre-pandemic levels, if it ever does. But many leaders nationwide are investing regardless, given the potential benefits. And there's nothing. Okay, don't care. And this doesn't look like anything either. Okay, if I just for to focus for investors. Yeah. So, you know, this is one of those things. Yeah. Uh, I can also throw in something else that this article doesn't seem to touch on at all. Uh, some people, because of the pandemic, have chosen to downsize. There was a lot of people that they went the downsizing route. They went the anti-consumer route. They went the minimalism. Yeah, that one. They went the minimalism route. I'm not sure if the pandemic caused that to happen, or if it just happened to happen based on other factors during the pandemic. I don't know if those timelines just happen to be parallel because of other factors, or if I'm pretty sure the pandemic had something to do with it. Because the next thing you know, you get a lot of people just being paid to sit at home because, oh, well, it's not safe to breathe the air outside. Arguably, it's still not. But you had a lot of people that wanted to downsize, so how do you downsize? What's the biggest way that you could possibly downsize? No pun intended. That is to move into a smaller residence, move into a smaller house, move into a smaller apartment. Maybe instead of keeping the rent going for a 2-bedroom apartment, whenever you're the only one, maybe the other room's a storage unit or whatever like that. Sell a lot of your stuff or donate it, whatever the case is, like that, and then move into a smaller apartment that's more manageable for you. You know, I've mentioned this in a previous live stream where me and my girlfriend have downsized a lot and have gotten rid of so much clutter. We've gotten rid of so much clutter, it's unreal. And it's been one of those things that it was a hidden gem for us. You don't really realize how much the clutter in your life is just taking up. It's such a stress release, and it is it's an eye-opening experience. It really is. To declutter yourself and to maybe you move into not just a smaller apartment like we did, but also one that's closer to everything that you want to be closer to, whether that's work or whether that's family, friends, downtown area, or maybe you don't want to live in downtown area. Maybe you do want to move into a smaller town or whatever like that. Still have some basic amenities and still be able to bike to some places. But maybe maybe for some people, Fort Wayne is too big. I know of one person right off the bat that she and her boyfriend did actually move out of Fort Wayne, still in Indiana, but they moved out of Fort Wayne into a relatively smaller city. And I asked her about it, and basically she just wanted to get away from Fort Wayne and be able to really restart her life on her own, uh, and just have a fresh start in a smaller town. And I get that. You know, big city life is absolutely not for everyone. Um, I love it. I love the hustle. I love I love the energy that it brings. I love the convenience of just having everything right there. But for some people, it would be way overstimulating, way too stressful, constantly, go, 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 go. That kind of lifestyle is not for everyone. It is for me. I thrive in that because of, numerous factors. One of the big ones being ADD. I can either hyper focus on one thing for a little while because I'm really invested in it personally, or I'm juggling multiple things at once way more efficiently than the average person is, and that's just the way my brain works. That's just the way I'm hardwired. So for us to be like, okay, we want to move into a apartment downtown, but we really need to save the money, but we also want to see about cutting out a lot of clutter in our lives, and we have achieved both, even if it's at the expense of uh, some basic utilities like central heating and air, you know, uh, and we're making do. It's not uncomfortable in a sense that it's unbearable, but there's just so many things about this apartment that is super annoying. So at any rate, I digress. Um, but yeah, no, I can see where some of these cities it makes sense. Uh, Des Moines, Iowa. It went up. It looks like it went up 75 to 100%, and that's just a really small town. Last I knew, 294,500, and now comparatively to, yeah, so they've actually lost people according to this. No, they've gained. They've gained. They've gained. Yeah, I can absolutely see what they're talking about here, and reading between the lines and everything like that's great. I completely forgot to switch my screen back over. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so like Des Moines, Iowa, right here. 294,000, 294,500, and now, well, September 2023. Uh, you know, exceed, huh? Yeah, okay. So yeah, I can absolutely see, uh, and I can even imagine what other numerous factors would be included in this too. So there's a whole host of different factors probably that factors that this article probably doesn't go over, but it still does a really good job. It's very, very thought provoking. It makes me wonder. It really makes me wonder. But at any rate, all right. Next article. Make sure I am okay. Detroit officially unveils new technology beneath streets that could change how we travel. We want to stay ahead of the curve. Last I knew, I could be wrong about this. Last I knew, Detroit was the uh, car capital of the world. It was the driving capital of the world. It was the, it was the place where all the automotive manufacturers were. And it's just not anymore. If you want to stay ahead of the curve, you actually have to be ahead of the curve to begin with. You lost it. If you want to get it back, you can get it back. But to say you want to stay ahead of the curve, it's a little bit misleading there. Detroit has reportedly unveiled new technology beneath its streets after a year of waiting, with electric vehicles able to get a boost that could ultimately make range anxiety a thing of the past. Okay. Associated Press reported on November 29th that the city has installed copper inductive coils that can charge EVs as they drive, idle, or park. So basically, this sounds to me like wireless charging, which, okay. Being a tech head, Detroit is a Rust Belt city. Okay. Oh, come on, get out of there. But they are trying to reiterate. But they are trying to reiterate like a lot of Rust Belt cities in the Midwest. You mean renovate? Or recreate? I want to make sure I'm understanding it correctly. Reiterate. Okay. Okay. I could see that. Reinvent. Okay. Holy. Okay. Update. Okay. Okay, so I was right. They're wanting to get back in the game again, basically. Yep. Yep, sounds right to me. They're wanting to get back in the game, and it seems like Fort Wayne has. Yeah, okay, okay. So what I know about wireless charging, and this is what it sounds like they're going for here, is that it is purposefully made that it is slow charging to help increase your phone's battery life longevity, right? Hardwired charging on I've got the Pixel 6 Pro, and I've had it for about 2 years now, going on 2.25 now, and I've had a wireless charger. I've had it on a wireless charger now for about a year. It has not slowed down. I have noticed very little battery degradation, we'll call it. But being on a wireless charger, it does take longer to charge than what hardwired does. It takes 4 hours for my Pixel 6 Pro to charge up relative to, how low the battery is. But that's just the nature of wireless charging. It's made to be a slow charger, so that way it's not killing the battery faster. That way it's not killing the battery life faster. So with that being said, wireless charging a car while it's in motion, you already realistically have in some instances where some cases, especially the thicker the case, the harder it is for the transmitter of the stand to reach the receiver on the phone to charge the battery. So that's already an issue in itself, and you're talking about literally millimeters. But to wirelessly charge a car, and you're talking about the fact that essentially the coils they're going to wind up being literal inches from each other, and in some cases, like the jacked up pickup trucks, the trucks with the lift kits on them and everything like that, you're talking about literally feet. I don't know how well that's going to work. You may be able to gain like a little bit, but if you even move your phone slightly off center from the wireless charging stand, it will not charge. So I I don't know how well that's gonna work. Uh, For now, the Michigan Department of Transportation (MDOT) has restricted the coils to a quarter-mile section of the 14th of on 14th Street, but the technology from Electrion Electrion is expected to be made more widely available in a couple of years once the testing phase is over. I would hope they would test that stuff out for more than just 2 years. I would really hope they'd test that stuff out for more than 2 years. You're talking about a very fundamental part of making an electric car go. Like, and keep in mind, not just making it go, but that's also the infotainment system, right? You've got to have navigation in some instances. If you flip a car, you got to have it call 911. The battery. You're talking about the power. You're talking about the electricity here. That's not something you can just throw out there after 2 years of testing and be like, "Yep, it works." I would hope they're testing it out for more than 2 years. Uh, in Michigan, we want to stay ahead of the curve. We want to lead the curve. Director Bradley told the AP. Alongside Michigan's automotive expertise, we'll demonstrate how wireless charging unlocks widespread EV adoption, addressing mileage, range, grid limitations, and battery size and costs. Yeah, about that. Crack my neck. Good luck. Electrion Vice President of Business, adding that the smart tech wouldn't negatively impact pedestrians and animals. Okay, yeah, I could see that. Battery manufacturing for EVs is an energy-intensive process, but the vehicles produce less harmful carbon pollution than gas-powered cars overall, with people who make the switch preventing nearly 10,000 pounds of carbon gas from entering our atmosphere annually. Yes. And I'll go ahead and add this in there too, just, because I've done my research on this. As long as you get a Tesla, okay, you get the adapter that goes with it for your place of residence. You get the solar panel that goes with it. You are off the grid. Or at least you have the ability to be off the grid. That is clean, renewable energy, or at least as clean as we can get it right now. Yeah, sure, fine. There are some supercharging spots, destination chargers, that they do still get their power, they get their electricity from burning coal, from burning oil, from, whatever the case is like that. Yes, I understand this. However, it is still less than if you were to, burning emissions straight out of your tailpipe every time you hit the gas pedal. It just is. And most people are plugging in their electric cars at home with a solar panel that is connected to a battery. Mining the raw materials to make all of that, okay, fine. You can make that argument. It's in a completely different part of the world. So, is it really directly affecting you? Most likely not. Better manufacturing, annual. Okay. Despite the environmental and long-term monetary benefits of EVs, a survey by AAA found that the concern about running out of range when driving is a consideration for 58% of consumers polled, with 60% worried there aren't enough places to charge. So here's the thing with that is that I've seen a lot of shorts on YouTube, and of course, X, formerly Twitter, just social media in general. Not Facebook. I don't really get on Facebook much, except for professional reasons, except for business reasons. But whenever you get millennials or Gen Z, the ones that can drive legally, that are showing these Teslas off to boomers and just older people in general, that is a concern that they bring up, right? It's recording, they're recording a video and everything like that. That is something that they bring up, though, is that, well, don't you take longer to charge, or are you concerned about, the charge, what's your, how bad is the range anxiety? But the owner of the Tesla shows them that, hey, it actually tells me where I need to stop for, how long I need to stop for, and, if something happens, then it tells me to go back. It actually finds the route for you, and you could easily plug into a destination charger, and let's say that destination charger is at a restaurant. You could spend 20 minutes at the restaurant, and that's all the longer it's really going to take for you to get enough range to get to the next charging station. And realistically, you should be taking those breaks anyway, because realistically, sitting in a car for 6 hours is just not good for you. I've done it. It sucks. The deeper issue with range anxiety is that it's going to take more than just improving how far an electric vehicle can go to convince people to make the switch. Okay. As the AP reported, MDOT and Electrion have agreed to develop Michigan's electric road system over a 5-year period, with revenue models for the first ever EV charging road in the U.S. still to be determined. Okay. If we do this correctly, we can decrease the costs of transportation for everyone. That came from Blacklack, the managing director of Aspire Engineering Research. Okay. Marking this initial step of this project with the next one. Yeah. Marking this the initial step of this project with the next one being Michigan Avenue, we can begin today to pave the path for a sustainable electrical mobility future of tomorrow. So, I'm very pro-electric, obviously. However, what I will say is that I do not believe that everyone needs an electric vehicle, for the same reason why I don't believe everyone needs a vehicle in general. A lot of people are concerned about the power grid being able to handle everyone shifting over to electric vehicles within the amount of time that you've heard a lot of people talk about on like Fox News and shit like that. Here's the thing. First of all, I will continue to make the argument that it's, Netflix going full online streaming before the internet actually took off. It was just before the internet actually took off, though. Keep that in mind. It was just before the internet took off. So, yeah, of course, people thought they were insane for doing that. And then the internet took off. It wasn't really that long. It wasn't really that long after Netflix went streaming only. Or rather, focused on streaming. And I will argue the same thing with everybody converting over to electric vehicles. It's one of those things that, can the electric grid handle it right now? Probably not. However, we don't actually know this because we're not actually there yet. Not everyone has adopted into an electric vehicle. And also keep in mind, as these electric vehicles, as like I said earlier, Tesla, you get you get the adapter, the power adapter for charging your vehicle, as well as the solar panel, so you can be off grid and charge and run your house. So therefore, you're not relying on the grid, right? Is it a large upfront investment? Yes, it is. But I go back to, do I think that everybody needs an electric vehicle? No. I think most people can get away with using an electric bike or an electric scooter or an electric skateboard for their local everyday commuting. They consume way less power. They're not going to be as heavy on the grid as what an electric vehicle is, as what a Tesla would be. And they're also not going to be as much of a danger, because while there are a lot of as I've covered in the past, there are a lot of manufacturers that are, cutting a whole bunch of corners and selling cheap, dangerous garbage for way the hell too much money, just to get that fast cash to be able to move on to the next thing. But they are still smaller batteries when you compare them to a Tesla. If a Tesla explodes, if a Tesla catches fire, that has way more potential to be way more deadly, way more dangerous, and way more destructive than what an electric skateboard can be. And I say that in the context of, if your electric skateboard catches fire and you're with it and you see it, honestly, at that point, what I would do is I would try to find something to just chuck it out. If it just catches fire, like if I see it catch fire, I'm gonna chuck it out the window. I'm gonna probably break something in the process, but at least it's out of the property. It's outside. You're not gonna chuck a Tesla. You're just not going to. Obviously this does not account for, if it starts burning or melting and, you don't notice it catching fire to your curtains until your curtains are already mostly gone, in which case, you better get the hell out of your home and call 911 and be like, hey, bring the fire truck. But I'm talking about the fact that, even if you still just even if you uh sit there and watch your Tesla as it just as it's catching fire, you're not going to be able to stop it unless you have a fire extinguisher. And even then, I'm not sure about the chemistry because that's a totally different fire. So, do I think this is a good idea? Putting coils underneath the street like this. I'm going to say it sounds unnecessary. I'm going to say it sounds unnecessary because, like I said earlier, I don't believe everyone needs to shift over to electric vehicles like Tesla. I think that everybody needs to shift. I think that most people would be just fine on an electric bike, scooter, or skateboard, and they'll charge up in like 3 hours or whatever the case is like that. They'll charge fully in 3 hours, whereas a Tesla is going to take at least I think a Tesla takes like 6 hours to charge to full. To charge. Model 3 supercharger 25 to 30 minutes, wall connector 7 to 8 hours. So yeah, you plug in a electric bike, scooter, or skateboard to a wall. It ain't gonna take that long to charge. It's only gonna take like a few hours to charge. 25 to 30 minutes to charge. That's with a supercharger, and they're not always readily available. Remember that. But a wall outlet absolutely is. You're going to be able to find a wall outlet way easier than what you're going to be able to find a supercharger. So, yeah, that's one of those things where as impressive as what the technology is, and this sounds like it's very impressive technology, don't get me wrong, but it would be so unnecessary. It just would be. I really think it would be very unnecessary. So, what am I at right now? Hour 43. Awesome. I'm going to make my 2-hour mark. Okay. Bike Loud PDX won't protest bike lane removal this time around. Here is why. Bike Portland. I assume they're talking about Portland, Oregon. Then I gotta go to bed soon after that 2-hour mark. All right. Yeah, sounds good, man. Absolutely. Do what you need to do. I appreciate you watching for as long as you can. You know, no need to push it. You've been watching for this long. I appreciate any watch time you can give me. Okay. As news broke this week, when I can and remember, yeah, I hear you. Well, your phone reminds you. Your phone reminds you as long as you have the notifications turned on. As news broke this week, the Portland Bureau of Transportation would remove the new bike lanes on Northeast 33rd Avenue. Many of the responses. I'm getting tired. Can you tell? Many of the responses Many of the responses I heard online were, "When is the protest?" Okay. While PDOT's first attempt to erase the bike lane was met with aggressive tactics, this time around, the same person who stood in front of a striping truck and started down its and stared down its driver is calling for calm. I do not support blocking next week's striping removal, and anyone doing so are not acting in the best interest of promoting biking for all communities. I do not support blocking next week's striping removal. They don't support blocking it, so they're in support of removing the striping. Yeah, that's what it sounds like to me. And every week or not, wrote Bike Loud PDX Vice Chair Keel Johnson in a letter to members sent out. Okay. Johnson said Portland bikes advocates are justifiably angry, but that, unlike the initial protest when no one knew what was going on, we need to acknowledge that the multitude of truths. We need to acknowledge the multitude of truths. Multitude of truths. Wow, that is a tongue twister. We need to recognize the multitude. We need to recognize the truths of others in order to navigate and be inclusive of a city full of people with many different lived experiences. Okay. Here's how Johnson framed the situation on the 33rd and its multitude of truths. I hate how they worded that, by the way. Okay. At Bike Loud, we believe a city where everyone feels safe riding is a more equitable city. Okay. The bike in it, the people in it are healthier and more connected to each other. The streets are safer and quieter, and the air is cleaner. And the air is cleaner. Currently, too, many of our streets remain dangerous places to walk, roll, ride a bike, and simply exist. Ugh. Portland is also a city where people of color have been and are currently excluded from wealth and power, and that must change. All of those things are true, and sometimes they come into conflict. This time, the conflict happened on Northeast 33rd, but it is not an isolated instance, and is in fact an ongoing experience for our neighbors of color, particularly black people, and is in fact an ongoing experience for our neighbors of color, particularly black people. Being able to acknowledge all of these truths does not make us weaker as a community. It makes us stronger. Yes. Okay. I'm with them. Okay. Yeah. Absolutely. 100%. Johnson is worth listening to because he's been an independent, dedicated, and honest leader of bike advocacy in Portland for nearly 15 years. Put another way, Johnson has a lot of skin in the game, and this is not his first rodeo. Okay. After PDOT proposed major changes to the street in front of his home on Northeast 7th Avenue in 2018 that would have made it one of the most bike-friendly streets in America. Johnson and other residents swung into action to make sure the city knew the project had enthusiastic support. Okay, yes, you'd want to do that. Then when PDOT heard opposition to the idea from black residents, they dropped the proposal and switched the entire bike route to 2 blocks over. Switched the entire bike route 2 blocks over. Okay. Johnson was disappointed, but he didn't regret meeting neighbors. Okay. Listening to black residents who disagreed with him and learning important lessons about what it means to build a community. On 33rd Avenue, Johnson blames PDOT's failure to do proper notification before installing the new bike lane, and he still feels residents will suffer because of the faster driving that returns when the bike lane is gone. Yeah. That is what would happen typically, is that you get whenever you get less people, whenever you get less scooters, less skateboards, less cyclists, less people, you wind up getting more drivers. That seems to be the nature of the beast. But instead of protesting its removal, he's organizing an event this Saturday where volunteers will clean the street. We invite you to come give the 33rd Avenue bike lane one last ride to help us make it look its best before it's gone. Well, that's just sad. That's just sad. So, do meeting neighbors listening to live residents to disagree with them? But why? What were the disagreements? Share this article. It doesn't say what the disagreement. Okay. Well, considering this article is basically telling us nothing except some residents didn't want it. Okay. I mean, people can disagree with you. People can disagree with you for the wrong reason. People can have an idea in their head that is just wrong. And, difference of opinion is a thing, but whenever that difference of opinion is rooted in incorrect information, essentially, then it should be then that opinion should be reevaluated. They're talking about avenues, they're talking about streets, they're talking about parts of a city that should have its people feel safe enough to not feel like they have to drive if they want to go anywhere. Right? Are you going to potentially slow down your Amazon order or your DoorDash order, whatever the case is like that? Maybe initially, But at the same time, parents are able to are can be a little bit more lax in letting their kids just roam and play freely in the streets, because at that point streets are given back to the people. So it's sad to see that something that could have been very good for a community potentially, and they missed out without knowing all the details as to why. So I don't know. I wish it gave us more information. Thanks for reading. Okay. I'm gonna hop on over to all right, yeah, man. Sounds good. Thanks for watching. Absolutely. See you next week. I'm gonna go ahead and hop on over to my bookmarks and check out some stuff from Ebss before I sign out, because I'm not quite to my 2-hour mark yet. Yeah, I've still got 4 minutes to go. I'm gonna hit that 2-hour mark though. Portland advocates. Oops. There we go. Okay. Portland advocates are debunking the economic justifications behind one of the nation's most notorious highways, the nation's most notorious highway mega projects, and offering a rare glimpse into the errors, assumptions, and perverse incentives that underlie similar efforts across the country. Look at that. Let's see here real fast. Freeway math. How governments decide a harmful highway is worth it. A massive interstate highway project promises to deliver billions of dollars in public benefits, but a local advocacy group says that it's all based on bad math. Heard that one before, and it wound up being right. And yet they still push forward. Advocates in Portland are debunking the economic justifications behind one of the nation's most notorious highway mega projects, and their efforts are offering a rare glimpse into the rat's nest of errors, assumptions, and perverse incentives that underlie similar efforts across the country. Recently, advocates with No More Freeways delivered an explosive letter to Federal Highway Administration and the U.S. Inspector General, and the U.S. Inspector General, urging the agencies to take no further action to advance the proposal in to take no further action to advance the proposed interstate bridge project unless the state until the state dots in Oregon and Washington can provide essentially can prove Washington can prove essentially that the project isn't going to set fire to a giant pile of taxpayer money. I like that. I like that. Concretely, in economic terms, this is a wasteful, value-destroying project. The advocates wrote, roughly speaking, it costs $2.50 to deliver just $1. Okay. In value to the users of the facility. No more freeways calls on FHWA to carefully examine the hmm, hmm, weird. No more freeways. Examine the. Okay. No more freeways calls on FHWA to carefully examine the benefit cost ratio of this project and to reject the proposal and to reject the proposed application for federal funds. See what they're talking about. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that would completely destroy that would completely destroy the value of the land that is valuable. That would completely destroy the land down there that is valuable because mind you, you still have a decent amount of parking down there, it looks like. Yeah, you still got some parking down there, but it would just nobody actually wants to live just off a highway. And yet it looks like I don't see any residential areas unless these are apartments or something like that. Yeah, nobody really wants to live off a highway like that. Assuming that these are apartments. I don't know. It looks like they could be, but I'm not sure. Oh, come on, get off. There we go. Okay. The single most expensive project on the U.S. Public Interest Research Group's 2023 list of highway boondoggles. I really hope I didn't butcher that. The seeds of the interstate bridge replacement project were planted more than 17 years ago when transportation officials began exploring their options to replace an aging crossing over the Columbia River, which officials feared would be vulnerable to collapse if the long forecasted Cascadia earthquake hits anytime soon. In the years since, though, estimates for the effort have ballooned to between $5 and $7.5 billion, with most of that budget devoted to expanding and reconfiguring the interstate leading up to the bridge I-55, I-5, to accommodate as many as 12 lanes, rather than reconstructing the aging structure for which the initiative is misleadingly named. Oh boy. Currently, much of I-5 has just 6 lanes. I love that they said just 6 lanes. Like, really? 6 lanes isn't enough? You got to do 7, 8, 9? How many is too many? How many more lanes do you need to put in before you realize that more lanes aren't the answer? Made it to the 2-hour mark. Awesome. 2 hour, 5 minutes, yeah. I think there's a very little resistance in Portland to just replace the bridge before the big one hits, said economist and advocate Joe Courtwright, who led the analysis. And if that's all they were doing with the project, I think it would have happened a long time ago and at a lower cost. But the state dots are using this as an excuse to build and widen 5 lanes of freeway to rebuild 7 highway interchanges. Most of the cost of this project comes from a freeway widening that doesn't produce many, if any, benefit. I mean, yeah, that's the thing is that it's paid for by taxpayer dollars, but nobody actually wants to literally pay a toll fee to drive on a street. Streets, no, rather roads, highways specifically. First of all, they're extremely expensive, and second of all, they don't actually bring value. Like they actually, the nature of a highway actually decreases the overall value of the property that they are on, because, like I said earlier, most people don't want to live right off of a highway. And it's one of those things where, the more parking you have, the lower the property value, because parking, people will avoid paying for parking by parking as far away as they possibly can, or getting a Lyft or Uber to somewhere, so that they don't have to pay for parking, because paying for parking is ridiculous. It just is. It's the most expensive. Paying for parking is the most expensive thing you can buy in relation to how much value you're getting out of it. You're just not. It's just not worth it. It's not. Big numbers, little value. According to the sponsors of the project, though, the interstate bridge replacement project would create substantial public benefits, at least in head scratching, at least in the head scratching world of freeway math. Courtwright explained that in order to, I agree with that paying for parking thing you said. Yep. Courtwright explained that in order to qualify for federal funds, highway projects like the IBR have to perform what's known as a benefit cost analysis, okay, or BCA. Sounds about right. Proving that every dollar they spend will generate at least $1 in benefits for the public at large. Okay. And while BCAs can't comprehensively account for everything that highways cost us, they do calculate their value in many different ways, including the economic value of the hours drivers might spend working instead of stuck in traffic, the quantity of emissions and fuel loss they'd avoid by not sitting in gridlock, and even the dollar value of human lives that might be saved by making road designs by making road design changes to avoid crashes. Okay. By this paragraph logic, you do not want to put a freeway through here. By this paragraph's logic, you do not want to put a freeway through here. Predicting the value, though, is far from an exact science. Not surprised. And some advocates say the formulas dots used to do it tend to make freeway projects look more valuable on paper than they actually turn out to be. I wonder freaking why. Ooh, crack my neck again. I've been doing that a lot lately. Okay. In the case of traffic time savings, for instance, agencies utilize congestion prediction models that studies show tend to massively overestimate future car travels as populations grow. So much so that the legal experts have called those models junk science and questioned whether courts and planning boards should accept them at all. Oops. Unfortunately, they're also not taking the hint, apparently. And when those junk formulas inevitably forecast future traffic delays, all that lost time is multiplied by millions of drivers and billions of dollars in lost wages, as well as lost fuel, vehicle wear and tear, and other costs that motorists will collectively forfeit if they arrive even a moment late to punch the clock, producing stunningly large numbers that agencies argue could be saved by expanding the freeway. The trouble is, 100 years of research on the phenomenon of induced demand has shown expanding freeways does not cut congestion. It encourages it. And even if it did, it wouldn't necessarily save drivers any money at all. Yeah, about that. Hold on a minute. Hey, I'm live right now. Let me call you back. Business partner. Yeah, it just doesn't. In the case of the Interstate Bridge project, Courtright says the agency's estimate on cost in just 20 seconds in In the case of the Interstate Bridge project, Courtright says the agency's estimate an average of just 20 seconds in time savings on the average 5-mile trip. Even based on that tiny estimate, though, the BCA calculates that expanding the highway would magically put $2.4 billion back in residents' pocket, even if most drivers just don't value saving a few extra bucks in gridlock all that highly, and their willingness to sit in traffic would and their willingness to sit in traffic rather than pay tolls suggests a lot of them don't. What? I, d- mm. I love how it was worded, though. It would magically put $2.4 billion back into residents' pockets. Somebody call Harry Potter. We got some magic going on here. It's far from clear that saving anybody 10 to 20 seconds on an individual trip has any economic value at all. Even if you can multiply that by 10 or 20 seconds times 150,000 people a day times 365 days a year times $18 an hour to gin up some really big numbers. It's not even clear that they it's not even clear that they it's not even clear that they that they that yeah would even recognize that there was a travel time savings. It's because there's not. Convenient mistakes and bad assumptions. Courtright says, though, that the Interstate Bridge Replacement Project isn't just suspicious because it relies on flimsy freeway math. Because in many cases, he says the authors behind the BCA actually got the math wrong in ways that make the project look more valuable than what it really is. And if they did so deliberately, he argues, they essentially slipped a few extra winning cards into an already stacked deck. Huh. I wonder what that means. When estimating the value of travel time costs, for instance, the agencies deviated from federal guidance and overestimated how often drivers will carpool on the newly widened highway, a mistake that would reduce those benefits by a staggering 11% if corrected. And they also ignored the fact that there's a second bridge across the Columbia running parallel to I-5 just a few miles away, and didn't account for all the money drivers who took that bridge rather than pay the I-5 toll would lose as the free crossing became more congested. Hey, would you look at that? When it comes to safety, Courtright says the BCA calculated a 17% drop in crashes based on an incorrect use of a formula designed primarily for rural highways with no traffic lights. Oh God, on or off ramps to minimize dangerous mergers. And again, agency officials basically ignored the existence of the nearby bridge where crashes might rise as drivers change their routes. Oh dear God. Wow. Okay. So, yeah, perhaps most gallingly, though, Courtright says the analysis overestimates the probability of the harrowing Cascadia earthquake striking the region during the lifetime of the highway, as well as essentially assuming an extreme worst case scenario where the disaster would cause the bridge to completely collapse during heavy traffic and kill almost everyone driving on it. Correct says that the report authors even that the that Correct says the report authors even inflated the length of the bridge itself, thereby inflating the economic value of the lives that would be lost on it by a factor of 10, and also added hundreds of millions of dollars in additional travel time costs by assuming probably incorrectly that drivers would clog up every other road in the region when the bridge went down, rather than taking other modes, or even just staying home and waiting out the catastrophe. It, I mean, freaking wow. Uh, that's just plumb amazing. It's terrifying, realistically. The bridge collapsing is absolutely a real risk, no doubt about it. But they made an estimate based on a set of assumptions that gives you this very inflated value for the number of people who would be at risk during the seismic event. And they're also predicting it will be a Carmageddon situation. I get it. Which just isn't what tends to happen. Well, gee. Do I even need to add anything? I mean, obviously not, but no. No. Yeah, wow. Where the hell was I? Okay, here we go. Of course, okay. Corright says that some of those errors could be honest mistakes on the part of WSP, the firm which prepared the analysis on behalf of the DOTS, Department of Transportations. Considering the WSP has already secured $76 million in consulting contracts on the project, should it go forward, though he suspects the errors weren't all innocent. What was your first freaking clue? Especially since the firm's gargantuan conflict of interest was not openly disclosed. They're not an independent or objective analyst of benefits and costs. They have reasons to put their thumb on the scale and make it come out to a particular way he had. Knowingly submitting false information about highway projects to the federal government is a crime punishable by fines and up to 5 years in prison or both. Okay. The fines thing, really? It, it they're gonna swallow the fines and walk away. But prison, that's real punishment. Even if it's 5 years, that's a serious punishment. Both, hopefully both, but I mean, realistically, they're gonna get the money and pay it in no time flat. You already know that. Uh Unstacking the deck, rethinking the dealers. Courtright acknowledges that unraveling the Gordian knot that is a highway project benefit cost analysis isn't for the faint of heart. Even for a professional economist like himself. He says, though, that the systemic reforms could someday force agencies to be more honest with the public about the real benefits of autocentric mega projects, or more accurately, their devastating costs. The only real reason why somebody or a group of people would get together and say that we want to build an autocentric mega project in any kind of urban or residential area is because they are in bed with the auto manufacturers. I said it. For one, US DOT would require grant applications. Okay. For one, US DOT could require grant applicants to use better formulas for forecast the congestion impacts if their projects get built, incorporating decades of research on induced demand as well as how much drivers are actually willing to pay to avoid sitting in traffic. And if that happens, advocates say many of the paper safety emissions and congestion benefits of highway expansions would likely vanish. Yeah, okay. Okay. I can see that. Unstacking the deck, though, won't be as impactful if the dealer still gets a multi-million-dollar cut when the house wins. Yeah. That's why Courtright suggests that BCAs should face more federal scrutiny, or at the very least, the people who stand to benefit from fuzzy freeway math shouldn't be allowed to prepare them. Yeah. It makes no sense that a private consultant who has an interest in the outcome gets the right to benefit cost study. Yeah, no kidding. And for that matter, it doesn't make sense for a state highway department to do it either. If you're going to do a benefit cost study, it ought to be done by somebody who has no interest one way or the other in whether the benefit cost ratio comes out one level or another. In a sense, a process is a sham. In a sense, the process is a sham. Yeah. Let's see what people are saying about this. The river is the problem. Are you freaking kidding me? The river's the problem. Really. Water. Water is the problem. Water's the problem. The Ohio River Bridge Project, number 8,664. God. Somebody really wants this thing done. Discover more. If sidewalks were highways, every state dot would have widened it 10x over. If this sidewalk were if this sidewalk were a highway, every state dot would widen it 10x over. Yep. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Setting aside that $15 for a $10,000 surgery is a negligible cost for the elderly disabled is among the worst reason to maintain automobile dependency. A third of disabilities preclude driving, and a majority and a major source of disability is the 5.4 million injuries per year from car crashes. I mean, that number sounds right. I wouldn't be surprised if that were true. Problematic people. Okay. Dear United States, what if? Yeah. What if? Here we go. Frankly, I think it's punitive that we are seeing. Okay. Kitchener Council votes to increase speed limits in school zones. Oh, this article is gonna piss me clear off. Oh, I don't even know if I really want to read this.
Faster in some Kitchener school zones, but that change only applies to areas currently. Drivers getting the green light to go a little faster in some Kitchener school zones, but that change only applies to areas currently monitored by speed cameras.
Be challenging to drive at 30 kilometers an hour on a road that has much higher design speeds. So we're trying to offer a solution that will help address some of those challenges, but where we also see a calmer speed.
Frankly, I think it's punitive that we are seeing situations where people are getting speeding tickets for doing 41 kilometers an hour on Christmas Day. That is punitive.
During the
This school makes me mad too. God damn, I cannot see. I don't know. Okay, whatever. The school makes me mad too. Yeah. The school increasing speed limits. Yeah.
The Monday night meeting, council voting to increase speed limits from 30 kilometers per hour to 40 kilometers per hour in school zones that are monitored by photo radar. Currently, only 2 school zones in Kitchener have cameras, but that number is set to rise to 7 by the end of the year. The increased limits and new signage for the impacted zones are expected to be in place early in the new year. Drivers getting the green.
I mean, do I really have to say it? Speed limit signs will not slow down drivers. Cameras will not slow down drivers. Cops sometimes slow down drivers, but that's only if they're there at the time, and that's only if the cops are being coherent at the time. The only thing that will slow down drivers is if you build infrastructure that actually is designed to incentivize drivers to slow down physically. If there is a sidewalk and you want the sidewalk to cross the street, you need to make sure that sidewalk is raised across the street, and thus the car actually has to go over essentially a speed bump that doubles as the sidewalk. You need to make sure that you also put in bollards so that whenever somebody hits that button, whenever a pedestrian wants to hit that button across the street, it will actually raise the bollard up from the ground. It doesn't have to be much. It doesn't have to be far. It needs to be enough to be able to stop a vehicle. If the driver is not paying attention and the driver runs into that bollard, the pedestrian is safe beginning, middle, and end of it. It's not rocket science, people. Yeah. This shit is not gonna stop anything. I mean, sure, people will get ticketed. People will get ticketed. They pay a fine. They go about their day. What happens whenever this camera records a kid getting ran over? How big's the ticket gonna be then? I guarantee you, it won't be enough to bring the kid back. Yep, I would look into that more, but I don't want to anger myself anymore. Don't do the crime. Don't do the crime. Don't do the time or pay. Don't do the crime. Don't do the time or pay the fine. Don't you feel bad for someone robbing a bank on Christmas Day when they go to prison? I like speed cameras. Speed cameras are an impressive technology, but they should not be relied on in this way. People really can't bear the excruciating anguish of taking an extra 30 seconds to drive safely around children. My point. I'm hearting that. Flying balls. Politicians are all law and order. Until one of their constituents complains about being caught breaking the law. So, if their kid winds up getting ran over by a vehicle, then does that mean that what would that mean? At this point, it beats the hell out of me. Nobody gets a ticket for going 1 kilometer over the limit. I call BS. I mean, they're not wrong. At least there's one guy I won't be voting for. Yeah. Speed limits equals suggestions, I guess. Contains offensive language. How does someone so stupid get elected? Yeah. Okay, let's see what this is.
Can I call you Rose? 'Cause you're sweet like a flower in bloom.
Your local In and Out.
Can I call you Rose?
Look at all those people that are literally just waiting in line. Unfreaking believable. was an actual, like, freaking... That was an actual, like, ad, apparently. Yeah. Idaho opens its first In-N-Out, and the drive-through wait was 8 hours long. Holy. See what people are saying. Some people were camping overnight to be the first in the line when it opened. No. It just straight up no. The internet worker on break. Oh, you know. Airdrop now. Connect your wallet to pick up it's already started. Okay. The whole state came to eat some mid burgers and fries. Oh my god. Yeah. I feel like that also you could also put in the whole city of Fort Wayne came to eat some mid burgers and fries whenever they put a Hardee's back in. Waiting 8 hours for a burger and fries is atrocious. Well, yeah, but
Oh, my Lord. I guess, well, I don't judge. To each his own. I guess every garbage can has its lid, but oh.
Wow. That's great. Oh my god, that's hilarious. Maybe 5 guys, but that's pushing it. Yeah. Well, 5 guys, so 5 hours. As opposed to 8. What else are they gonna do in Idaho? Ouch. Why is America like this? Why does anyone feel comfortable spending 8 hours in their car? All the haters pretending like they don't like the burgers. Let me guess what they think is better. 5 Guys and the Habit. What? Not waiting 8 hours for food. Yeah, no. Bro, just wait a week and the lines will be normal. I promise you. It's not that great, and your time is worth more than. Oh my god, yeah, wow. Just holy shit. Something is wrong with America. Yeah, okay. You know what should be illegal in. You know what should be illegal in New York City? This shit. Sidewalk parking lots. In a congested city, no driver should ever have the ability to drive onto a sidewalk. There should be steel bollards. Yes. Deflating. Yeah. Every driveway space. I mean, yeah, I agree. That is completely, like, freaking really. Like, and wow. But how could Eric Adams avoid traffic? Oops. Okay. Fine. Whatever. Nothing to see here. Just a vehicle endangering literally everyone. Yeah. Daily parking. Okay. Yeah. Unfortunately, that happens. A traffic circulation plan is one of the most effective ways to improve your city's accessibility, livability, and quality of public space. eliminate through car traffic and as this place did in 2016, and watch the streets quickly return to life with people on foot, bike, and bus alike. Let's see what we got here. That is gorgeous. Absolutely 100,000%. You can actually walk. Like, you can actually legitimately walk through this. Like, oh, that is gorgeous. That is all that lit up like that. That is, yes, I would live there. Absolutely. And nice. See, in America, we would have these called cycling lanes or bike lanes, and we would actually have to paint a stick figure bike on the ground. But here, people do this so commonly they don't even need it. I forgot how nice Jefferson Point used to be before they added the roads through that. I remember those. Yes. That is actually one of the main reasons why I will not shop. If somebody wants to take me to Jefferson Point for something and they're buying, they're paying, everything like that, fine. I will personally not spend a single dollar at Jefferson Point because I don't want to. I don't want my money voting for that absolute disaster that they made. I just don't. But yeah, no, absolutely. That is gorgeous. And let's see what people are saying. Oh, look at that. Even more. That is very nice. Absolutely. Everything is human-sized. Look at that. That is this town's version of a billboard right there. Look at that. Everything is human-sized instead of car-sized, trying to, fly past it at 80 miles an hour on the freeway. There you freaking go. There you freaking go. Absolutely 100,000%. What am I at right now? Almost 3 hours, but not quite. I can scroll through this a little bit longer here. Let's see, do I have another bookmark here that I haven't? Ah, yes. How far could a hat, gloves, and an e-bike take you in 15 minutes? In the 15 minutes it takes to safely clear a car of ice. Oh my god, that's funny. That is funny. Okay. This thing, I have mixed emotions on. From the outside, the well in Toronto looks like I really gotta go this time. Again, catch you later on the next episode. Absolutely. See you, man. Night. From the outside, the well in Toronto looks like any old condo building. Inside, a dense, mixed-use, livable community and a shopping center that all cities can learn from. Bookmark this thread for inspiration next time your city wants to build a strip mall near downtown. Okay, so I have mixed emotions about this. My mixed reaction is this. this is getting dangerously close to Wall-E territory. In the sense of everybody, zipping around in power chairs and everything like that and being, completely, fat. The only way that this would work, you would actually have to ban all modes of transportation for people that don't medically need them. You would have to do that, if if you have a bum leg, if you are actually handicapped, like physically handicapped in some way, if you have a heart condition, different things like that, then by all means, you should absolutely 100% get, some sort of electric mobility device of some sort, or even an analog one, and, get a prosthetic or something. But the average person that can walk, they should not need anything to be able to get around in a place like this. Because everything is encapsulated. Because you're not going to run into bad weather. Because everything is within walking distance. This is one of those things where I'm not completely for it, and I'm not completely against it. I'm very middle grounds. I wouldn't mind experimenting in a place like that, experimentally living in a place like this for a year or something like that, given that this place has apartments, and assuming that the apartments would be a 1-year lease type deal. I would not be completely opposed to living in a place like this for, a year. But I wouldn't want to do it long term, because at the end of the day, I still love riding my bike. Analog or electric. I don't care. Either way. I still love riding my bike. I would still want to ride my bike. And in a place like this, even if they allowed for bikes, which would be stupid on their part, I wouldn't feel comfortable riding a bike. Unless they had an indoor bike track. If they had, they have an indoor bike track, whatever like that, I would probably do that. But still, that would be shifting me around from, using bike utility and recreation, primarily utility and partial recreation, to literally only recreation. Yeah. So, I get it, but at the same time, I couldn't see living in a place like this long term. The new development in Toronto has shops, food, and over 1,700 units for living, both condos and propose built rentals. It's basically the coolest open air shopping mall I've ever seen. The Well is new, so most stores aren't open yet, but there's already a really good selection. Furniture store, designer shoes, nail salon, lots of other people, too, like a local art store and a plant store. Yeah, I mean, this would almost be going too far in the other direction. This would almost be going too far. Like I said, short term, fine. Long term, no. And I think I'm gonna go ahead and end the live stream on this note right here. And thus I will conclude my live stream with that. I will mention, again, full disclosure, any commercials or anything like that you saw on this live stream, on this video, I make no money off of them whatsoever. I'm not affiliated with anyone. I'm not a partner on Twitch. I don't have monetization turned on my channel for two reasons. First of all, I just haven't turned it on yet, but also I don't qualify for it because I don't have the required number of subscribers yet. But what I am is a dropshipping e-commerce business. Check out my website, ridewithebs.com. That is ridewithebss.com. Ride, R-I-D-E, with W-I-T-H. I want to make sure that people don't think that I'm trying to spell funky, words all funky and everything like that, except for Ebs is a made-up word, essentially, from my understanding and research. But check out ridewithebs.com. Electric air pump and hydration backpack are both pre-orders still right now. I have to have a certain amount of orders before I can have them delivered from the manufacturer, but I have been using them on a regular basis, so I can attest to how well they work. And then this beanie is available for print to order. So this beanie right here, you order it, it'll arrive within I think a week or two. With the holidays right now, it may take the 2 weeks or a little bit longer, but I got mine within about a week. But I also got mine like right at the start of the holiday season. So keep in mind that I set the prices on my website, obviously, and all the profits that I make from these products are going to be reinvested back into the business for me and my business partner to Frankenstein and build, buy parts from different manufacturers to build and Frankenstein electric bikes, scooters, and skateboards. That's the primary business model, is electric bike, scooters, and skateboards that are federally street legal without needing license, registration, or insurance to be able to let you get around in local, urban, and residential areas without needing all that other stuff. So I just wanted to mention that real fast. Definitely check those out. I will be live streaming again next week. I'm planning on live streaming again next week. I will probably be on this set right here. This set probably will not change much until hopefully the first of the year, or close to, somewhere within January, I'll say. So wanted to mention that real fast, full disclosure and just an outro like that. And I will see you next weekend, Saturday night. I'm gonna try for a little bit earlier next weekend. I'm gonna aim for 6 instead. I'm gonna aim for 6 because this is a little late for my taste. But at any rate, I'm checking out.